Yes, turn the microphone on. Okay. Okay. All right, everybody. If you're here on the Facebook, click that hello button. Say hello and say hi in case you want to talk to Georgie KGB. Hello, Dylan. Hello, Dory. Hello. Is your boy George Beatty here? And we're coming right out of Moscow to the States of America. Hello, Glenn. Hello. Is your boy here, George Beatty? I just got out of jail with my hand tattoos. I'm thinking about scheming some numbers on Ian's loans. Wait, I just switched accents there to like a little Swedish.
I don't even know where to jump in, man.
Okay, why don't you do the introduction here, Ian?
All right, everybody. Welcome to the billionth and one podcast of the Middlemen, which is myself and George KGB Beatty. George, thank you so much for joining us, coming all the way from Russia.
You're welcome, Ian.
To do this podcast. So I'm with Hard Money Bankers. That's my company. I middleman money. So if you're a private investor looking for funds for your next flip in the Philadelphia area, that is what I do. Yeah, he's just sharing.
I'm just sharing the post, everybody. Do not worry. You see my Batman, Dylan? You want one like this? You come work for me. Don't actually. I love Tom Kelly, and I want you to stay with him and be happy.
So that's what I do. Which I didn't. George, this accent's gonna kill me. So George is also George in your George American and George Russian accent. Why are you a middleman?
What are you, a cop, Ian? You come with me with police questions. Do not ask me anything. So I'm your boy, George Beatty here, and I'm a middleman for investment property in the greater Philadelphia area. I sell contracts to purchase right-priced real estate investment deals. If you want a rental, if you want to buy a flip deal in the greater Philadelphia area, check out my podcast. Check out my website. This is my podcast at paoffmarket.com for the hottest wholesale deals in Philadelphia. How was that, Ian?
I'm not even gonna be able to focus during this. So, you
can focus on these guns right here. If you're listening, I was flexing my muscles, which here in America you call guns.
I need a transition of some sort.
Oh, I have an announcement to make.
Okay,
I bet the famous Steve Lloyd that I would not swear and use curse words on
I heard about
in
this.
public or in Facebook Live for 2 months. He will buy me dinner at the Capitol Grill. So your boy George KGB Beatty today will not be using any curse words whatsoever. So we will see if that will stand or whether your boy GB just gets a little hurt to drop a few F-bombs like my country nearly dropped on yours 50 years ago.
Wrong war, wrong country. I'm not going to correct them. George, can I get the American George back?
Yeah, what's up, guys?
There he is.
We're here, and we're. I did bet Steve Lloyd that I wouldn't swear on the internet for a couple months.
I saw that,
which is why I haven't been posting anything on Facebook or saying anything to anybody for a while.
So you gonna do it? You think you can do it?
Yeah, dude. I mean, I said deal to him on the comment string. So I mean, it's my word is good, right? There's no credit score in real estate. People know your word. People know whether you're gonna do what you say you're gonna do. So at the end of the day, like my word means a lot to me, and I made a deal. So if I lose, fair is fair. But I'm gonna give it the old college try.
Okay. So George won't be swearing. I don't know George without swearing. I know George without the Russian accent, but I don't know George without swearing.
He has a good Russian accent.
It's pretty good. It's pretty. You picked that up from that film?
Yeah, I picked it up over the years from all the gangsters I was hanging with in the gulags.
Cool. Can we make a request? Can we get a request that George wears his tracksuit next week?
I will absolutely wear my tracksuit. Oh, I'm not going to be here next week. I'm going to be in New York.
How about the week after that?
The week after that, I think I'm in town. Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, I will rock my tracksuit.
Okay. Perfect. Can we get your cat in here one day?
Orange actually. So I moved recently, and Orange does not like to move. So he pooped himself in his little cat carrier, and it was pretty bad. So me driving him over here as long as you don't mind the smell or him like rolling around your office covered in his own feces and urine, that's fine.
You know what? Maybe we can set up like a live feed for him.
You guys can come over to my house.
Can we come to George? We'll go to George's house.
I just moved to the FMC building.
Dude, that building's awesome.
Yo, the view.
You
Actually should come over and see the view just for that.
Yeah, I saw the picture. we saw the shirt off picture. We saw the guns.
Yeah, I didn't mean to do that. Actually, that was totally by mistake.
So that building is cool as hell. So if you guys are driving into Philadelphia, and it's pretty iconic on the skyline. So if you guys just look and see like the big building that says FMC, that's where George lives.
West Philly skyline too, which is interesting in terms of the development. Yeah,
you can see it.
No, it's in West Philly. It's over the river.
Yeah,
For there to be a building that tall over the river is like a really good sign for the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah,
like all those buildings popped up over there. I think we're in the last like maybe 5 years, but that's, I mean, typically cities, you know, Philadelphia is interesting in that we've got a city to our left and a city to our east, we've got a river to our east and a river to our west, and then the airport is to the south. And there's like that weird swampland and that other little bit of water. So like, you know, for Philadelphia to grow west over a river is a pretty big deal for that. I think it's a great sign for the city. I think it's a great sign for West Philly, and sort of pushing the border of where it's nice to live versus where it's not nice to live, which is good for property values, it's good for development, it's good for the economy, it's good for all those things.
The only thing I say, I always talk to people, actually heard a really good quote the other day, which was, you know, gentrification, right? So the city cycles where the values go up, where they go down. Like once upon a time, Germantown was a beautiful area that everybody wanted to live in. Not so much anymore. Well, certain areas are still nice, but you know, the one thing I look at and say, people make an area a certain way. So whether it's their economic status or whether it's who they are as people, they are the people that make an area desirable or not desirable, or memorable or not memorable. The only thing you can't change though, and I hate to say this, but like when you gentrify an area, people go somewhere. So if you wanted to gentrify an area, which, you know, there's a lot of,
we're talking about economic gentrification,
economic
to be
gentrification,
frank, not racial gentrification.
Correct.
Right.
Very much correct.
Yeah. It's important to say that.
Agreed. So the issue there though is that the people then have to live somewhere still, right? So what'll happen is you can have an area now that's beautiful that has to change because another area is being made beautiful. So what you're having is in West Philly, where you have like, you know, sure, like you're seeing a good sign, you're seeing a transition, you know, FMC buildings over there, but those people had to move somewhere, and they're going to go to somewhere that is going to, unfortunately or fortunately or whatever, have an impact on the economy somewhere else in the city. So you might have, you know, what's an area that seems like, oh, this is the greatest area ever. I'm not going to say Rittenhouse, but like, let's say Rittenhouse, everybody moved into Rittenhouse and changed the dynamic of it. You can't even think of that right now.
The people moving out of West Philly specifically, like, I don't think they could afford to move to Rittenhouse, South Philly, Fishtown, or any of those places right now. I think they're moving to Collingdale in Delaware County.
Right.
So a lot of them are moving out to the counties.
There's certain areas that have been affected by the gentrification, such as like Northeast Philly as well.
Oh yeah. True.
So like once upon a time, Northeast was one way. I mean, once upon a time, Kensington was beautiful.
Yep.
You know, like real Kensington, not old Kensington. So that happens. So everybody, you know, always looks at like the next booming place, but remember that also means somewhere else is going to bust. And in terms of real estate investing, you know, I'm not saying I'm sure that people are very nice people, but economically somewhere else will have to bust in order for somewhere to bloom, and then it'll change. And a guy in our office said and this is true, every 50 years you have that kind of cycle, a boom or bust development of an area, which is interesting.
I think that if you looked at historical cycles, that was much likely going to be much more apparent and much more neighborhood specific than it would be today. Like, for instance, somebody moving from Philadelphia to, let's say, Atlanta or St. Louis or Oklahoma City or just somewhere else is easier now than it would have been 30 years ago. And it's a lot easier for like transportation is cheaper. There's jobs are like, it's not like all the jobs are in Philadelphia. So all those people who are still working in the factories still need to live in Philadelphia. Like, you know, the jobs are much more geographically spread out than I think they used to be. So I think you'll find, and this is really off the top of my head, that this is purely a hypothesis. I think that you in this day and age, you'll find less of everyone moved from North Philly to Northeast Philly. And I think that you'll find much more of 10% went to Collingdale, 10% went to Coatesville, 10% went to Northeast Philly, and like a little bit more of a spreading in that nature. But I think, well, specifically North Philly, I know a lot of those, like houses from sellers that we've bought from them have moved to Northeast Philly, or like north of Ridge Ave, so to speak, just in search of greener pastures, which is great, right? That's like sort of the way it's supposed to work. Like property values go up, your property value goes up, you sell it, cash out, improve your lot in life.
I think
that's
part of
like
that
what you're
too
supposed
is
to do.
like the ease of transportation, the ease of like movement, right? So
Yeah.
when you're gentrifying an area, like you have to go to the so people that are moving out of an area don't want to move too far, so they might have a job somewhere, so they still have to get to it. So what you're going to find a lot of times is the borders of the areas that are being gentrified are going to still have those are going to be impacted by the economic end of it. But you're right in that people can easily transfer now, especially with like the types of jobs we have nowadays. Like it's very easy, like you said before, back in the day, you had factory, manual labor, that's where you are. Whereas now you could be like, hey, I'm going to work on the internet here. I'm just going to live in wherever I want. Right. Yeah. So the transfer of that. So I don't think maybe you'll see so much as like that hard, like takeover of an area, maybe so much as you see like very pocketed subsections go, man, that used to be really beautiful. What happened?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So anyways, that's gentrification 101, economic gentrification 101. I don't want anything to do with no racial comments, no nothing. We're not racist people. So economic gentrification. But I want to talk about something that you posted this morning, which I really love, George.
Oh, yeah? Oh,
Business,
wow. I do love
George.
talking about George Beatty.
Oh, we're going to talk about, so let's talk about busyness, man. Talk to me about what you were trying to post this morning on Facebook.
I was listening to a podcast in the shower, and I heard it was a Tim Ferriss podcast. I don't remember who was on. It was one of the most recent, like 3 or 4 of them. And the woman who was on it said, being busy is a choice or it's a decision. And I'm like, duh, I know that. But a lot of other people are like, no, I'm really busy. I'm doing all this stuff. And then it went on to say, like, basically you make a choice for what's important in your life, whether it's significant or important enough to you to do it. So like, if you want to play with your kids, you're not too busy to play with your kids. You just think that your work is more important. So you do that instead. Or you think that watching Game of Thrones is more important. You do have time to start a business or like make follow-up calls or whatever the case is. You just another thing, or it's not important enough to you to act on it. Or frankly, for me, a lot of times I use being busy as an excuse to not do things that I don't want to do or that I don't want to win. So I will use busyness, but then again, it's not important enough to me to do it.
You're just actually busy. You're just saying I'm busy so you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think we were just talking about this. We were filming earlier about a business to busyness is like, it's a funny thing for like entrepreneurs. It goes hand in hand with the entrepreneur is that like people feel like they have to be busy or put off the perspective of busyness in order to like feel like you're running a business, and they feel like really hectic and a lot of stuff is happening. It means that they're running a business. And I was just saying that like business is a very direct reflection. I've said this before in a podcast of somebody who they are in their real life. And I tend to find, I was just thinking about this morning when you posted it. I don't know if you find, but like a lot of different like title companies seem to have this outlook where you're like, you call up a title company and they're like, oh man, we have this many orders. It's just crazy here. We can't get this done. It's so crazy. There's so many things going on. It's like, did you streamline your business? Yeah. Like, and first of all,
don't get me started on title companies.
Yeah. And I love, there's some really good ones out there.
Shout out to Lexi.
Yeah, there you go. So
Prosperity Abstract.
But like it, for some reason, it brings in this like element of like, look, your business is chaotic. It doesn't have to be. Your business is chaotic. And what you're going to find is a lot of times the owner of that business is also, when they go to their home life, also this chaotic, busy. Yep. They're always busy. But you're like, dude, what's your high level activity that you're doing that is, and you're going to find that the busyness is really just a bunch of low level activity that you're doing because for a multitude of reasons. And breaking out of that, I think, is super important if you actually think you're a business owner.
Letting go of the vine.
Let go of the vine, man, because there's nothing attractive about being busy. It's really not.
Most people's businesses are at the very least small businesses with less than 20 or 30 employees. The businesses, I think probably 9 times out of 10 are nearly a direct reflection of the owner or whoever's the most immediate superior to everybody there that hangs out. I mean, like you can have a silent partner that like owns everything, but your business is going to be a reflection of whoever the buck stops with on the ground, right? Always, unless you get to an organization, like a large organization standpoint where it's each department might be a reflection of who's head of the department or whatever. But like, they always say like the country is a reflection of what's going on with like the president of whatever nation it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but the leadership matters, right? So like if you as a leader are just busy all the time and doing things that you think are important to get done, but really don't need to get done by you, like, what do you think is going on in the rest of your business? Like, why do you think, you're having all those problems that inevitably come with people that act like that? Your home life is crumbling. Your wife wants to leave you. Like, why do you think that stuff's happening? It's probably because you don't have control over.
It's probably you.
Yeah.
It's probably you. And, you look at, and the other thing that happens with somebody that kind of takes on that cyclone of busyness is they attract people that thrive in that environment. And all of a sudden, instead of having a business where I'm so busy, I got to hire somebody, you hire your first person in your business, you give them a bunch of different tasks that have nothing to do with each other, and they don't know what they're doing. And all it does is amplify the busyness and the garbage that you're just vomiting into your business, as opposed to like sectionalizing like what your people should be doing, departmentalizing, like, hey, clearly this is your function. Anything that takes this much time in this realm is what you're doing. So if somebody that you're going to hire is going to take that position in a busyness world, all they're doing is amplifying the busyness,
making everything worse. So that if you want to keep your busyness and your business, switch it like this. Make sure you're busy for everything else except the one thing that you're going to improve this week. Everything else you are too busy for. You are too busy to talk to your assistant about getting better. You are too busy to deal with like whatever inner office issues you're dealing with. But you're not too busy to deal with like lead generation or sales or whatever your thing for the week is. You're busy for I really do love that mantra. I like to I've heard this from a few business mentor people that that I know. A strength of mine is staying laser focused to basically one thing, which is wholesaling real estate, and the connecting things to wholesaling real estate is sales and marketing. So, anything that allows me to use those talents, I'm like really cool with, and like I'd rather put more eggs in those baskets using those talents than like, oh, I'm going to learn how to code this week. I'm going to learn how to do like lease options, like we were talking about earlier this week. Like, I just want to do this one thing. I want to get really, really good at it. I want to be the best in the world at it. And I want other people to ask me to help them with their things. That's what I want. Right.
And that's it. Laser focus. Laser focus is so important. I mean, you look at like top performers in any industry, take like an obvious one, like Tiger Woods in golf, right? His laser focus is winning at golf. There's nothing else to it. So if it doesn't involve winning at golf, if you ever like, they say his obsession with golf is off the charts, right? Like people don't know what goes on behind the scenes. So if you're not focused on winning at golf, or you're not focused at becoming the best, wholesaler, and you go, hey, yeah, I mean, coding, and maybe I'll learn about, title work in my wholesaling business. You're creating busyness for yourself.
Absolutely. Tiger Woods isn't trying to learn how to play football.
No, isn't like, I get like, why would you do that? So like, you got to ask yourself that question. I would also say to people like, I'm saying this from a perspective of like, I am where I am now and understanding that idea, but it's not like I was born that way. It's not. Yeah. So like when I first started in business, unfortunately, you actually did a really good job of avoiding it for the most part. But I was in that cyclone a little bit. And I had to have my eyes open, and I was like, whoa, what am I doing all this stupid shit for? And the reality was, once I realized that, and you pull away from it, so you can back your way out of it. And I think just like you said, like if you can work on like one thing in a week that is not like, if your laser focus is wholesaling and lead generation, and it's not one of those items, you've got to find a way to back yourself out one at a time. Like it doesn't have to happen all at once. You go, all right, I'm just dumping everything on you. You handle it. No, like sectionalize, departmentalize, so it doesn't get screwed up, and then work your way back into all I'm doing is wholesaling and lead generation. That's it. That's all I want to do. So you can work your way out of it. But first thing is recognize it. And second thing is, if you're a business and I call you up, and especially in real estate, and you go to me, I'm too busy. There's too much going on. We have too many of this. That's a you problem. It's not a me problem. If you want my business, and I'm not saying like, if you don't want my business, that's cool, but it is a really shitty thing to hear from another business owner. That's like, whatever's going on behind your doors is not my problem. Are you rock solid or not? It's just a good way to make your reputation look stupid. It's just like, as soon as you say that to me, as soon as you say those words, I go, okay, I know what the whole back end of your business looks like. Your books are probably a mess. People are probably mad. I don't even know if this is going to get done. I'm out. Right? Like, I'm not going to work with you. So I would say be aware of that as a business owner. Don't ever use that on the phone. Don't ever tell somebody, potential client. I'm not a complainer. I don't really care. I just won't do business with them.
Yeah, so that's fair.
Yeah. What else you got going on, man? What's exciting? What do you mean in New York next week? What's New York?
Yeah, Joe's event.
Oh, nice. Circle. Yo, Joe. Is Joe watching? Joe, you on here?
Joe will jump on here eventually. He'll probably click share. This was actually going to be pretty dope, dude. It's at the Havana Club in New York City.
Ooh, like that song that I keep hearing?
Exclusive cigar lounge. I don't know about the song.
Okay.
There is a song called Havana that's like a really good song.
Yeah.
But dude, a lot of players from Philly are going to be there. I mean, like, me, Joe, Ed McDevitt, Paul Friedman. I think Josh Hurt's is coming. I think Frank McGovern is
Yo,
coming.
Hertz is making the trip?
Yeah, dude, which is like Josh doesn't make it out of his
No, Josh is
sanctuary a lot. Josh is like quietly one of the smartest guys in Philadelphia.
dude, very quietly. He is a quiet dude.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, I do this much business. And you're like, really?
Yeah, like what?
Yeah, I had to pull his teeth to get on our podcast.
And then he makes you an offer, and you're like, oh, that's why he makes so much money.
Yeah, when those connect, you're in good shape.
I just sold Josh a house the other day. He is a real buyer. I think I made like $2,000 on it, which basically means I lost money on it, like at the end of the thing. But Josh is a really smart guy. I got a lot of respect for him.
He's very, you had mentioned one time, you said about me how I kind of like sectionalize like money and emotion.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of those guys that does that.
Yeah.
He is just like, he's totally cool to walk away from anything. He goes, if this money doesn't make me money, I'm out.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yeah. There's no emotion tied up in it whatsoever. Yeah.
None.
He's really good at that.
What's Evie got to say? Evie says, new research reports that 45-minute power naps help too.
Seriously, they help me stand back. Where's the research? If you could post a link to the actual
link,
study
Evie,
that we could read. Can I?
I like Evie. Don't give her a hard time.
That's fine. I like her too. What I don't like is people posting studies show X without posting a study, which is recent. So I'm dating.
It's bro science.
I'm dating a girl with like a medical background, right? So like,
you're never gonna win.
Well, no, it's great. So like now I'm like looking at all these pseudoscience. Like this dude, I don't want to say his name, but this dude was like selling this cream at this thing that I went to, and this cream's supposed to be like, oh, this is like the best thing in the world. It does this. It'll cook you breakfast. It makes you young. Da da da. And I'm like, how much of this active ingredient is there in it? Because I like know a little bit about it. And it took him like a few weeks to tell me. And he told me, I'm like, that's near zero. First of all, like it's very close to the number 0.
So it's just like hand lotion.
Yeah. Okay. So for it to actually be effective, you're in the common measured units, you're talking about a minimum of 500 per day.
Okay.
This is like 1/10 of 1 per day.
It's like 5?
No, like 1/10 of. Okay, so if it takes you 500 units,
like
it's 500 international units per day is like a minimum effective dose. Let's say, the dose in the cream is like 0.1 of an international.
Oh man,
unit. It's like less than that.
I get that eating a hot dog or something.
Yeah, it's right. But anyway, they're like, studies show this, and they're citing all these studies for the active ingredient in regular amounts and this, but like there's no studies for the product itself. It's generally misleading as far as like how much is actually in it and things of that nature. But it's like people make claims and they cite sources, but are the sources credible? Did you read the study? Do you know what it actually does? Or are you just like literally reciting something you saw on Pinterest or Instagram? Because most people are citing things they saw on Instagram or Pinterest that just had like some cool graphics that made them trust it. And if you don't believe that, or if that's you, I got some news for you. You're probably wrong and listening to pseudoscience.
Evie says it was on the Today Show. Ooh.
I believe you, Evie. I do believe in naps specifically. That does actually make a lot of sense. I think I have seen something to that effect as well. Though I think you could agree in general, people post stuff like that.
Oh yeah, man. Like, so you know who's the most amazing
comment.
podcast listening to exactly what you're talking about? Because you're like, what do I listen to? Is Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Rogan's like, wait, what was the study?
Yeah,
like,
where's the study?
Wait, what?
I love that. That's one of the reasons I like Joe Rogan.
Oh, dude.
I love Joe Rogan.
He's like, no. He goes, because he doesn't want that just like vomiting to the internet, right?
He gets like 100 million downloads a month. So like literally if you put some BS out there, have I sworn yet? I don't think I've sworn yet.
I don't know.
Did I swear yet, Judith?
No swears, Steve.
You're doing great. I almost did just now. I almost said the S word.
I was expecting
Steve Lloyd.
Yeah.
I'm coming for that dinner, baby. Yeah. So Joe's really good about that. If you don't listen to the Joe Rogan podcast and you're a man, you should check it out. I say that lovingly because it's primarily like a men's health type thing. And they do a lot of like,
most women don't like to listen about fighters.
Yeah, it's a lot about fighters, hunting. Like I don't hunt or anything like that. I just like the Joe Rogan podcast. Like there's some men's health stuff about. Like,
there's some good one for women too. They had what's the scientist? What's the lady?
Rhonda Patrick.
Rhonda Patrick.
Yeah,
dude,
she's great.
She's
really smart. I love those anti-aging. I see an anti-aging doctor. I love that like crux of science, so to speak.
Oh, I think it's so fascinating.
Like cutting edge stuff.
It's like because it's stupid that we have to think like you have to age. They're gonna figure it out, right? You have the telomeres. They're like
telomeres,
yeah.
There's a pill for that.
Right. So like they're figuring out that like aging is just a function that can be stopped. Right. So they're gonna find the way to like not through plastic surgery, like through a way to like the process of aging to stop it. Right.
I'm trying to get rich enough to get it.
Yeah. That's actually the other key. You're gonna have to have $1 trillion to get it because you pay anything for that. Right. Like, all right, you can live 1,000 years.
Yep.
I'm in. How much? I'll sell everything.
You're right about that.
So, but yeah, I think the anti-aging is really, really interesting. But Rhonda Patrick stuff, who's frequently on the Joe Rogan podcast, soon to be on our podcast, I'm sure, will be. She has a killer podcast, but her research is killer. Like if you dive into her stuff, and she'll just find something fascinating. And because she probably like your girlfriend, she can read through the science. Like, because if you put like a study in front of me, I'd be like, I have no idea what I'm reading. Like it's like reading like an accounting sheet. I'm like, what does this mean? But they can, like, when you're versed in that world of like scientific studies and you understand, you can be like, no, this study is not valid because like there was this factor and this factor. But then when you find a study that is valid, you're like, no, this is legit right here, which is really hard for your average person to cut through. Like, you don't know, like, because there's always a bias, right? Like, so most studies have a bias. A lot of times a pharmaceutical company will have a bias because they set it up a certain way to deliver information. That's like, we got to get this to market. We got to make sure it proves this way. So, okay, all these, we want men between the ages of 30 and 40 that do this and that. And they don't tell everybody else that they have shitty eating habits. They smoke, they drink, like they don't disclose that. They just say, hey, so there's a bias confirmation coming into a study, which is really hard to cut through as the average person.
Yeah.
So I agree that, people, you always should have to post your study. If you don't, you have to do what I do and say, hey, look, you have to preface it with, this is bro science, meaning I don't know really if what I'm saying is true. Yeah, bro science is great.
I love bro science. Any kind of science, steady KGB, and Russia is better than European and the United States at.
Tell me about your time in Russia.
Most of my time in Russia was spent in Gulag for shoplifting. They chop off my left hand. You cannot see on because you're listening, because of your weak American cameras do not capture the power in my chopped off hand. But yes, Russia will rise again. Hail Putin.
Dude, I think Russia already owns us. I'm pretty sure they own us. I'm pretty sure they own us behind.
Yeah, that's like not the case, dude. Like the United States has so much power, so much money. So like, what does Russia make?
I don't know, but you can just seize everything you want. You blackmail enough powerful people.
I'm talking about the world scale, right? So like,
for what's
made in Russia?
Yeah, but what's made over here? We just digest food.
Google, Facebook, technology. We make our own cars. We make robotics.
But are they planted
on the
here?
Cutting edge of robotics.
Like, is Google's headquarters? I guess it is here.
Those were Russians that came to America to invent Google, right? So like, nothing good comes out of, like, they have some oil and some gas, but like the real threat of Russia is
they're so
almost
tough.
Entirely manufactured in our heads, in my opinion, right? Like if you really look at it nuts to bolts, like most of Russia, you can't grow anything, right? Like they don't have any natural resources really other than gas and diamonds. Who cares a shit?
Grow polar bears in Russia.
Yeah, you could grow polar bears in Russia. I just swore by accident. I'm really sorry, Steve.
You didn't last 30 minutes.
He technically said F-bombs though, and I haven't used the F word yet.
Okay, we'll read this.
So I don't know. We'll let Steve weigh in here. If he doesn't listen all the way into this thing, maybe
so much that integrity wrong.
Maybe I'll slide it by him. No, I gotta tell him.
Tell him you said.
I'm still not saying the F. Anyway, my point is like nobody like don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people. They do make. I'm sure they make some of their own cars, or whatever. But like, dude, we're the United States of America. I think that our population's bigger, or at least of a similar size.
It sounds right, bro science.
I mean, there's like 300 million people that live here. Most of Russia is not habitable. Like they still have people that live on the steppes there. Like literally, I'm sure there's people that live in Russia now that have to use a flint to like start a fire and like don't have electricity or running water. Do you know anyone in America that doesn't have running water?
Flint, Michigan,
or at least well, not anymore. But you see what I mean? Like saying that Russia now, especially now without half of Europe and like that Soviet bloc, presents like a real threat to us is like, at least economically, is, it's like, come on, pal. Like you can sabotage things, you can do the electronic piracy, like you can do all that stuff. But dude, like we're the United States of America. We control 65% like of the world, like through our industry, or at least the military. We have 180 or something military bases in countries across the world. Like Russia doesn't. Like Russia might still have a base like in Cuba, or like maybe, or now in the Ukraine, but they're not like the same thing that they were like in the
Cold War.
Yeah, we're not in the same. We're not even in the same league. It would be like you comparing my wholesaling business to some guy that just did like 5 deals in his first year. That's what that would be like.
Cool. All right. We're just gonna keep talking.
We're just
You
gonna
do
keep
whatever you
talking.
want, man.
It's ran out of
No problem.
Evie just posted a citation for this day. Thank you, Evie. We're
Oh,
gonna look it up.
Evie! Wow,
Thank
good.
you.
You
Yeah,
want
that was
to be
actually
our
great.
localized?
I like her.
Evie could be our
I like her.
Evie could be our localized researcher. You know how like on Rogan he has what's his name?
Jamie.
Yeah. Evie. So I just need you to log on every single time we do a podcast
And look up stuff.
And
we're
when we
talking
start
about.
making bullshit up, you can correct it.
I like to
and
make up facts
yeah.
and like numbers and statistics, like I just did like 4 times while raging about studies 5 minutes before. I don't know if anybody caught that, but that was a little.
No, I believe it all. It was
a
all
little
real.
hypocritical moment there.
Yeah, it was all real.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to know about the small print of your swearing.
What
Was
I
it
think,
F-bombs?
I think he said.
Is
I think
Steve
in
watching?
the Facebook comments he said F-bombs, no F-bombs, but I don't know. We're gonna find out. I mean, I'm still gonna
What
give
kind
it
of dinner?
Capital Grill, but which it's good. I'm gonna crush a bunch of steaks there. I'll probably order more food than I can eat. But anyway, I think it's a good bet. I have been swearing a lot on the internet. I know it's part of my shtick or whatever. But yeah, I'm gonna making the old college try. I'm gonna continue doing so. I think.
What's your you said what's your workout schedule looking like, George? You said you worked out.
My back hurts and my foot hurts.
Hmm.
I haven't worked out in probably a month, maybe 6 weeks.
Was it from that kettlebell you said when you hurt your back?
No, that was a while ago. That only lasted for like 3 days. So I was at jujitsu and I tried to like twist somebody down on the ground, or I was trying to get up, and I usually only go to jujitsu for like 45 minutes of like sparring. But like a couple Sundays or Saturdays ago, I went on Saturday for like an hour and a half. Then I went on Sunday for like an hour and a half. And then when I got home on Sunday, I was like, dude, my back, like I pulled something. And I think it was a pretty bad strain in my left UL. So, I'm just letting it rest because like, what's the risk reward? Like if I really hurt that or tear it, like I gotta get surgery. And then my foot's been hurting for like 3 to 6 months ever since like that wart that I had like last year healed. I got to actually schedule a podiatrist visit for that. I think I've got like some weird, crazy muscle imbalance or something that's exacerbating strength. I walk a lot. I walk a few miles a day.
Yeah. You still do that with your foot hurting?
Yeah. And I done been doing it. Yeah. That's right. I really like walking, and like, especially since I moved to FMC, like before I would take an Uber to Rittenhouse, but now I can just like walk over there and like do all my grocery stuff and do whatever I got to do in Rittenhouse, which is great because I love that area, and it's just right over the bridge.
Yeah, the walk is killer. Actually right when you left, there's another guy that in and out of the office. Boots. Do you know Boots?
I've met him a few times. He just made some really good videos. I think I saw those.
He does good videos. Yeah, I was just telling him, I was like, dude, you do good videos, man.
Yeah, he does. He does really good videos.
He
Boots Levinson, I think is his name.
Yeah, super smart guy.
Yeah.
Boots thinks outside the box. He's one of these guys that just thinks differently than a lot.
Smart.
Yeah, definitely smart, but definitely just like a different angle. Like he's a different angle guy. And he said he said today, I think once a week he does his walk week. He's the same thing you do. So he walks 2 miles in the city, and man, you just choose if you have the right path in the city, it's a really cool thing. Yeah. Right. Like if you just like your walk, like it's a cool way to see the city.
You can see half the city.
Is that what you are? 2 miles about?
I mean, from here to where I live is like 2.5 miles. I didn't walk to work today. It's actually 3 miles. 10 city blocks is a mile, so it's like exactly 3 miles. But I just like across the river over like Max's Produce or whatever at like 20th and I don't know, Spruce or wherever, or Locust, wherever that thing's at. That's like 0.75 of a mile. Then back, that's a mile and a half right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it just like kind of happens. All of
a lot of people are, and like once you get into like running or walking or something, people are like, oh, I can't run 2 miles. It's like,
yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
You just don't want to. I don't want to. Don't get me wrong.
100%.
I'm personally not really a big runner, but you can.
Easily. You can run anything. I've learned you can run any distance you truly want. People think that like you can't. You can. And like it takes time to mentally build up to it, but it's all in your mind. I had to learn that about running. It was like kind of like anything else. Like when I first started running, I was just like, wait a minute. If somebody else can do it, I'm pretty sure I can. So you just start running. I was like, I'm just gonna run 5 miles. I'm gonna run 3 miles. I'm gonna run 6 miles. And you're like, oh, if I can run 6, I can run 8. If I can run 8, I can run 10. Run 12, I can whatever. And you just build up to.
It's like, how many miles do I have to run to work off this cheesesteak I just ate with extra bacon?
Oh man.
The answer is like 6.
That might be an unachievable task. Yeah. No.
I'm still gluten-free. I've been doing the gluten-free relatively seriously for a few weeks now.
Yeah. I heard if you do that and then you touch gluten again, your body just hates it.
Yes, I've gone gluten-free before, and that did happen.
Yeah, my Ann did that as well, and like really sick. And then you're like, wait a minute, if I get this sick by eating it because I didn't have it in me, you're like, and like I'm somebody who's like not.
Yep. You get
I'm
the
like,
flu when you come off of it.
I'm like, oh no, what does that mean? I'm doing like every day. You're just like chipping at your body every day with gluten.
I can think clear and stuff like that.
Yeah, your mind gets better. Yeah.
I've run a bunch of
it's so hard to avoid it though.
Actually test my blood and stuff like that. My blood work is much better when I'm not taking not taking gluten, but eating gluten.
We just did we're trying the 23andMe test with the DNA test.
Oh,
yeah.
cool,
So I just
cool.
did the samples across the country. It was pretty easy. So I'll report
What's that
back.
one do again? Does that do food sensitivities?
I don't even know. And just said we should take this. Is it all right? But it's supposed to tell you like basically deficiencies and stuff like that that you have in your body.
That's legit.
So yeah, because I'm always like taking different supplements and things.
Yep,
I'm like, I feel like I should take that. And I'm like, probably should get blood. You take blood work. I don't even take blood work. I'm just like,
dude, you got to see one of those functional medicine doctors. I see one in the city.
Ooh,
functional medicine.
So we call it functional medicine.
Functional medicine and anti-aging is the same thing, but they often like. Oftentimes, by the time somebody's seeing a functional medicine doctor, they're like 60 and they have all these problems and they're trying to stop them from dying.
And what kind of like, so in functional medicine, so I know there's like, Ann went to a holistic, not a holistic, I don't know, different kind of doctor, but functional, like what would be like their typical thing that they're going to give you supplements?
They're going to ask what your diet is. They're going to ask how you feel. And then based upon that, they're also going to do a bunch of blood work. And then when they get all that back, they're going to say, okay, based on your blood work, this is happening. You should stop eating. They're all going to say stop eating processed foods. Some of them will say stop eating gluten. Some of them won't, depending on what your blood profile is and whatever other tests they do. So like originally when I went to go see them, I was having fatigue issues. I couldn't lose weight. Like I was like really sick. So like I told him all these things and he was like, okay, you're probably having an inflammatory response to something you're eating. What are you eating? And I was like, gluten and donuts. Like, what do you think I'm eating, bro? And he's like, okay, stop doing that. Right.
Less donuts.
Yeah. And everything got better. And then he was also like, okay, so my adrenal response was not what it was supposed to be, like my adrenal glands or whatever. So now I take like some mix of herbal supplements that's supposed to help my adrenals get better over time. It's not a light switch. It takes like 6 months. But it was like working. My cortisol came down. Like my estrogen levels for a male were high, but so was my testosterone, which I thought I had low T. It was originally why I went, because some of my symptoms were like consistent with that. Turns out my testosterone was super high. I just had like too much estrogen. So I was taking
too much of both.
Yeah, I was taking not too much testosterone, just too much estrogen. So I was taking like calcium pills or calcium gluconate pills for a little while, and and depending on how old you are and what's going on, like sometimes they might put you on TRT or testosterone replacement therapy. Sometimes they'll give you growth hormone. It really depends on you, but like what they're doing is they're measuring what you're putting in your body, what your blood work says, and they're giving you advice to be healthier or to achieve whatever goals you might have based upon that. So if you think of it as if like, okay, like you go see a business person to learn about business, you go see a functional medicine doctor to become more functional and get your stuff measured, know what you should be taking, what you shouldn't be taking, as opposed to just being like, oh, magnesium looks like it's good for you, I'm going to start taking magnesium. No, you should probably take magnesium, vitamin D, iodine, and like fish oil. Most people probably should be taking those things or whatever. Definitely vitamin D, but like how much, right?
Which I think is like, if you look at like the whole system of like medicine in general in our country, so like the functional medicine is way more appealing to, I think, the people coming up like me, you, like you're like, wait a minute, this type of medicine will help me grow and become a stronger person. Whereas like the typical medicine that we're used to, you go to a doctor, it's because you're broken,
right?
And they're trying to prevent you from dying.
Exactly.
Like whether you want to call it dying or not, you're just breaking, and they're trying to prolong it. Whereas like you're getting ahead of it. It's like a proactive medicine move. Which is what everybody should do, because I don't really want to be pumping myself full of anything that's pharmaceutical if I can avoid it. Yep. So if I can take supplements to stop that from happening or prevent that from happening, so being a functional medicine doctor she went into, it sounds everything you just said. So it's on deck for me to go see, what's next. So I
can refer you to my guy if you want.
Actually,
Robert Brookman, A2HI.com. Tell him Beatty sent you.
A2HI.com.
It's not cheap, and insurance doesn't cover it. So if you guys are looking for a freebie, don't.
Yeah, but you're like whatever, you spend $1,000, whatever it is, but you're like, how much are you going to spend the next time you have cancer?
What's the return on investment?
Right.
Being like smarter and thinking better, like to bring healthier. What's the return on investment? It's like,
what's the cost of like early arthritis? What's the cost of what's
the cost of noticing a business thing that you normally wouldn't have because you're thinking more clearly and you're not tired or whatever?
Yeah, the ROI is So I
gotta wrap this up. I got a meeting.
Oh, cool, man. All right, you busy?
I got a meeting with your people about selling your deals.
Busyness?
Yeah,
little busyness?
I'm busy, bro.
All right, cool. So, all right, guys. So appreciate everybody listening. Middlemen podcast.
Thank you so much for coming on our podcast. This is the Middlemen podcast with your boy George Beatty and your boy Ian Walsh. Ian, would you like to tell the people what you do?
I will give people, flippers and people that are buying rentals, the money to buy, fix, and flip. Private lending, not a bank. KGB or non-KGB, George, what do you do as PA off market? What does that mean to us?
I sell off-market wholesale deals to buy residential real estate investments in the greater Philadelphia area. If you want to buy a residential investment property in the greater Philadelphia area, the suburbs or the city, check out paoffmarket.com.
Good to go.
Woo!
All right. Our first YouTube stream has 0. But that's okay.